All right, so I'm going to be going over a visualizer that I made for Hyperex. This is for his new song Lost, which will be released this month on the 29th. So you should go check that out when it's released. Now, before I start this tutorial, I wanted to show you all just a little troubleshoot. If you open any of my visualizers and they open like this, all blocky and stuff, simply go to this Add Content tab and just go to the bottom and click Reload All, and you'll find that it returns back to normal. All right, so this visualizer it looks complicated. All these features and effects, it is a lot, but it's fairly simple the way it is structured. And all you really need is just an image and a background. I mean, your logo and a background. So that's what I have here. So this visualizer is really good for if you have vocals like I have here. This song I'm actually using is a remix that I did for Autograph. It's on my YouTube and I'll link it in the bio. So I actually have a peak controller on the vocals here. So they actually affect the brightness. So I'll show you that right now. I'll solo this out. Oh. Feel the feeling of a summer breeze when I'm close to you. So as you see, when the vocals are on, the brightness actually gets brighter and darker when the vocals are louder or quieter. So that's probably the most complicated thing. I simply put it in a Fruity Peak controller, and then I went over here to the Yuling Bloom, and I simply went to the amount, link to controller, and found the peak controller up here. And that's the most complicated part of this tutorial, which is simply just putting a peak controller and changing the amount of bloom. I'd recommend keeping the volume relatively low because you don't want too much brightness, but keep it above 0, maybe around 5%, so that you can still see the effect. All right, so I'll actually show the preview of what it looks like right now. So this visualizer is actually kind of a combination of the visualizer I use for Royal and Loyal, with a logo placed on top of it. So here in the effects tab, I started off with an image. This is actually the image Hyperex is using for his song Lost. It simply has color. I believe he's used black and white. I just put some color. Or this was the original. It has color in it. And then on top of that, I added a 4-color gradient to give it some more color. And then a simple wave, a Yuling Bloom, a Yuling kaleidoscope so that you get a kaleidoscope effect. And I actually automated the angle. So as it goes throughout the song, you can see the image and the simple audio spectrum move. On top of that, I added an It's Full of Stars just to give it some more atmosphere and background. And then a Yuling Bloom so that when I put my logo over top of it, you can focus more on the logo rather than the background. Because, I mean, you need to know who's making your music. And to make the logo shake, I simply put a parameter shake on top of it, and I connected it to the channel. So that's basically the full visualizer. I'm going to go into a bit more detail of how to make it a bit more personal and how to simply use it. Because once you open it up, it will be kind of complicated, but it's really simple. So I'm going to start here with my logo. There are actually 2 versions of it. This first version, the alpha is really high, but once you put another logo on top of it, you can kind of see like a little shaded background. That's just simply for easier to see it. All I did here was increase the width on this background one and then placed a smaller version of my logo on top of it so that you can have like a shadow effect. And then for the colors here, I tried to stick to kind of bright colors, so blue, purple, pink, red, and just so that it looked visually pleasing and that it matched the mood of the song. And then I'm going to go a bit into detail of the parameter shake, actually, or not parameter shake, the peak controller with the vocals, because probably didn't explain it too well or go in too much into depth. So when you have your vocals playing, you will see the peaks here. So I just want you to look at the peak and then also this amount button here for the Yulian Bloom. You could easily turn up the volume if you want. I wouldn't recommend it because then the brightness would be really bright. Like, look at this. So yeah, I'd recommend it kind of lower, but if it's your visualizer, you do what you want with it. So after that, that's basically it. That's the full visualizer right there. If you want to make this more personal, honestly, just change the background image, or if you want, instead of you using it's full of stars, use another sort of background feature. I forget what one is called, but it also works really well. It works just like this stars effect, but it's way more reactive to your audio, and it honestly is more visually pleasing. Personally, I feel it's full of stars. It gives a better atmosphere to the audio spectrum, but it's all personal preference. So that's about it for this tutorial. I'm gonna let just part of the song play, and you should check out Red X's song Lost on the 29th when it releases. So that's it. Thank you. And you'll have to listen to the rest of that remix on my YouTube. Thanks for watching.